Morning and welcome to FYI. FYI family, how are you doing this Tuesday morning, the second day of July? It's officially summer. When the summer started and we are happy to have new folks here with us this morning. Welcome, 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 welcome. Privileged to have all of you folks. Privileged to have all of you here. Debbie Collins, we see you there. How are you doing? I see Claremont Walcott here as well. Claremont Walcott, Debbie Collins, and just gathering my bearings there. Great to have all of you here with us. I got a white cup with the blue rim. Good to have you, Claremont, Tracy Clark. Good to have you, Tracy. Kyle Bino says I'm here. Good to have you, Kyle. Folks, we're back on the ground, boots on the ground. Yep, now that we've had a Alliance for Change, People's National Congress reform, those elections out of the way, grateful to have all of you here with us this morning. Yep. John Jones, good to see you. Kyle Bino, Brenda Moore, Debbie Collins, good to see you as well. Marcy Agard, good to see you as well. And Cole Providence, good to see you. Deborah Sharona Lynch, privileged to see you as well at this end. Folks, I'm happy to be here with you guys this morning. Share the live, smash that emoji button, folks. I'm here to tell you some what's trending this morning as we wake up and some of what should be on your radar for the day. Coral and Lynn Fernandez. I see Debbie Collins is here as well. Tracy Clark, good to have you here. Rihanna Roberts Mingo, good to have you too. Yep. Rihanna says I have to have a yellow and blue cup. If you supply the cup, Rihanna, you can use the cup, the yellow and blue. Once it's you, Rihanna. Chester, good to have you, Cherylyn, and good to have you, Donna Daly. Gail Hancock, Gloria Chester, Forbes Meduse. Good to see you as well, Cherylyn and Kyle and Debbie and all the other folks. Aubrey Stevens, good to see you as well. We are going to ensure, good folks, that we are broadcasting to all of the credible and valid places. We hope that you guys are good and well. Wherever you're joining us from this morning, we are really, really, really privileged. And we're going to try to get through to some of the other Facebook pages and profiles and so on, that wherever you are, you guys can benefit from that valid and credible information. Good to see each and every one of you here with us. Abida Monroe, we see you too, Abida. We see you too. Mona Stobie says she's still in Bella Drum. Yep. No doubt, Morna, you are getting some good R&R, rest and recuperation. But great to have you here with us, Morna. Great to have you here with we. And all the other folks who are joining us. Sharon McPherson, Melanie Adams. Good to have you beautiful folks with us this morning. I see Nicola Cassius. Good to have you there too. Michaela Andrew Coates is on with us as well, folks. And all of you other folks who are now joining us because we've gone through to your page and your profile. We are simply happy and delighted to have you here with us as well. If you give us a quick second, if you give us a quick minute, we are going to get into some other things. Good to see all of you here with us. And, we're trying so much, trying to get through to places like Instagram. We got to do all kinds of things, folks, to ensure that people are hearing us, people are seeing us. We got to go to where people are. We got to go to where the folks are. But of course, great to have each and every one of you here with us, good people. Good to have all of you here with us. From the many places you're joining us from, I'm seeing so many comments going by. Andrew Griffith, Wenda Hudson, good to see you, fantastic folks. Folks, can you believe it is June 2nd or July 2nd already? Can you believe that? July 2nd already? July 2nd already. Yep, believe it or not, good folks, believe it or not. July 2nd already. And we're so privileged to have each and every one of you here. I think we are going to try to get through to Instagram as well. See how that goes this morning. A very, very good morning to all the folks who are joining us from that end. A very good morning to each and every one of you. Yeah, and I think we're through, good folks. Thanks for joining us. In case we are surprising anybody via Instagram, good to have you all here, and more you all will see our broadcast. We're on Instagram Live. Believe that's the power of technology for you, Audrey Ward. Sonia Massett Cup, good to see you, Sonia. Looking forward to seeing you very soon. Even if you're going to fly up all the way to Maryland, got to see Sonia this year in person. Sabina Jacobs, Kyle Bino, Gwyneth. Folks, we are doing a bit of housekeeping as we begin. We've already said to you folks, we're going to be off the last week in July, first week in August. That's vacation for us. But we're going to continue to publish content on our pages. We're going to be off because we're going to be traveling during that time, refiring and refocusing, tweaking our system. Elise, I hope I get this name right. Elise Williams, I hope. Burnett, Elise, you could always send me a voice note and say, this is how you pronounce it, sir. Mark Ullman and Gail Alicock. I see Camille Cox is on with us this morning. Good morning, Camille. Is it Euclid Lambert? Forgive me, folks, if I'm not sharp this morning with the pronunciation. I see Sion Gonzalez is here too. Mark and Lorna Abida. I see Elizabeth Narai. Sparkle City's in the house this morning. Spartanburg is in the house. Naomi Druck is here too. Yep, good to see you, folks. Naomi, hope you had a good weekend. Had a great holiday yesterday. I was in Babis yesterday. Went up to Babis. Terrible fire there. Terrible fire in Babis, and we coming around to that. Bushlot. You know, I probably left a little too early. Didn't caught that piece of action. You know, we're going to come around to that in a bit. But you all say hello to our folks who are joining us. For instance, joining us on, what do you call it? Instagram. All of it. We're going to try to get through to Instagram some more. We got to get through also to our TikTok channel as well. Yep, got to do some more of that as well. Good to have all of you who are joining us this morning, joining us from Instagram. I think it's the second broadcast we're doing on Instagram. But welcome to our morning program here. FYI for your information, and we're going to get through a couple of things. This is how we do it. For those of you on Instagram who are new to our program, first 15 things, we're going to run through some headlines that are trending this morning and things we think you ought to be thinking about as we begin the day today, folks. As we begin the day today, welcome to our broadcast again. FYI for your information. I'm happy to have all of you here. Folks, it's a new week. Instagrammers, it's a new week. TikTokers, it's a new week. And just really delighted and happy to have all of you here from the many places you're joining us from. Feel free to criticize us. We okay like that. It makes us better people. Critics make the world a better place. Right? Not Bertness. Real critics make the world a better place. True critics make the world a better place. So we okay if you criticize us. We okay with that. We got thick skin, right? We got thick skin, folks, and we got on, what do you call it? We got on our Kevlar suits. And whatever is the strongest material there is, we have it on, folks. We have it on. Don't worry about us too much. Don't worry about us. So good morning, folks. How was the holiday at your end? Yesterday was CARICOM Day. CARICOM has to do a lot. I know on CARICOM Day, here is CARICOM being tested. You all see what's happening with Hurricane Beryl in the region? Here is CARICOM being tested. Give us a quick sec, folks. We're dotting our I's, crossing our T's at our end. Here is Hurricane Beryl in the region. But good folks, before we go there, before we touch on Hurricane Beryl and some of the other things that are happening in that direction, a lot of things happening in the U.S. too. Please and thank you. Lots of things happening in the U.S. as well. The first 15 things, folks. as we start the day, some folks were protesting there yesterday, I think it was. This is at Garden of Eden. At the Garden of Eden yesterday, a number of folks came out in protest. And it's hard to see that sometimes, ordinary people, because of some infraction that's happening. And this protest took place at Second Dam, Garden of Eden, and they were very much up in arms about the deplorable state of the roads. And this concerns people across the political divide in this country, whether you support the PPP, whether you support APNU, AFC, whoever you support, WPA. People live in a country where we're producing billions of barrels of oil. We're now deemed as a high-income country. Thank you, international institutions. We're now deemed as the fastest growing economy in the world, largest GDP per capita, and all that good stuff on paper. But people are not feeling the effects of that. Quite frankly, people are not feeling the effects of that. And here, the residents, they're at Second Dam, Garden of Eden on the East Bank yesterday. They had a protest in front of the Craig Caledonia Neighborhood Democratic Council. That is where this protest took place. And folks, we wanted to share some of that with you as we begin the broadcast this morning. Our folks joining us for the very first time on Instagram. Here's some of that protest yesterday.
We are here today at this community on commended for coming together to bring the situation of the road and the light. We want new roads. We want also the contract better in terms of the lights and the road. It is dark in here. It is also dangerous at night. Okay, so we need for them to come and do this road. The community is doing its part in terms of standing in solidarity, standing together for the road. All right. Come on, everybody, let's walk in now. Let's walk in and show them the road. Film the road. That's right. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes. There. Yes. Road and light. Road and light. Road and light. FBC. Road and light. Yes, road and light. Yes. Yes. Road and light. And then take the lamp. Yes. Yes. This is the year of 2024. Road and light. FBC. 2024. And carry where the this is it. So when it rains, yes. 2024. This is the year. Come on, everyone. Yes. Everyone. Road and light. 2024. Yes. Road and light. Yeah. RBC. Road and light. You see right there, this is? Yes. Yes. MBC. MBC. Road and light.
Yeah. Welcome back, folks. That's some of what took place yesterday. For those of you who are now joining us, this is Garden of Eden. They're telling us, and people just fed up, right? You can determine whether those folks are political folks. This is Second Dam, Garden of Eden, and you heard it there. Road and lights again. We live in a country that's been designated as a high-income country, fastest growing economy, biggest GDP, largest GDP in the world. And yet, 4 years into a new administration, folks are very concerned. Now, Garden of Eden is not Timbuktu. This is not Anai. This is not Deep South. Right? This is around the corner on the East Bank, and the folks are asking for roads. Folks are asking for good roads. And I hope the authorities are listening. That's where we start, folks. But as we come into our morning broadcast, let's tell you some of the other things that are happening internationally. I think we begin with Joe Biden. I don't know what the guys have up this. Yeah, Joe Biden it is. And a report is out that suggests that he doesn't function too well after 4 p.m. You know, us big people got to stick together. Please and thank you. Us big people got to stick together. And over the long weekend, we were listening to some commentary of likely replacements to Biden. His family thinks he should still stay in. Some members of the Democratic Party thinks he should still stay in. But we were there and saw, you know, this was like Mitch with the glitch part 2 happening in that debate. Couldn't remember some of his answers. You know, he wasn't too sharp at last in the response. They said he had a cold. I see a lot of people who big get a cold and don't freeze up like that. You know, and I think, is it too late for him to come out? You know, I'm a Democrat at heart. I'm a Democrat at heart. The Republicans have never appealed to me, quite frankly. Never appealed to me. Republican at heart. All right? Democrat at heart. Democrat at heart. Look what's happening here. Good morning, Foreign Exchange. They're on Instagram joining us. Christelle, good morning too, joining us on Instagram. And all the other folks who are joining us on Instagram, Christelle and Kevin. I see Stephen has joined us on Instagram. Folks, y'all make way to the Instagram folks this morning. Sylvester joining us on Instagram. Antonio, Swain, and all the other folks who are joining us at that end. This is what they're talking about this morning. Biden should drop out. How you feel about that, Foreign Exchange? How you feel about that, Tiffany? Christelle, is your country. Is your country. And then over the weekend too, we saw huge decision out of the U.S. Supreme Court that basically presidents in the U.S. have wide and sweeping immunity powers. Wide and sweeping, anything they do in the capacity of the what's the phrase? You know, they do while in office, basically, while being president, they're immune from prosecution. That's what came out of this judgment. Immune from prosecution. That's a lot. This is really and truly, if you follow this kind of information, set off a firestorm in the US, because lots of the cases Trump has pending against him, null and void. For all intents and purposes, lots of them are null and void. That's what we got to deal with. That's the reality of it. That's the effect of this ruling. Now, if the authorities can show that a president made decisions in a private capacity, the ruling is saying that those things are justiciable. Those things can be tried in a court. But up until that time, not so much. So anything a president does in the execution of their office, of the work of their office, that was the phrase I was looking for. In execution of their office, those things are covered. And then I love this justice when she took the bench. Sonia Sotomayor, she had a sharp, stinging, dissenting opinion. Quite frankly, I was a little bit surprised by Chief Justice John Roberts, but then perhaps I shouldn't be so surprised at all. And what Justice Sonia Sotomayor in this dissenting opinion said is, look, this thing now puts not only Trump, but any American president above the law. That's what she said. You try to steal an election, immune. You try to take a bribe to do something for your colleagues. Sonia Sotomayor says, you're immune. She had a very scathing opinion. This will make a president a king above the law. That's what she said. And risk putting democracy at risk. She argued that the ruling allows presidents to commit clear crimes without punishment. Very interesting times. Foreign and domestic Foreign Exchange, and all the other folks who are joining us on Instagram this morning, Stephen and Crystal, and I see Strawberries. Join us. To all the other folks who are joining us, a very good morning to you, and welcome to our broadcast. We push on because we got so much to cover. Now, here's what I was telling you guys about. Not Hurricane Beryl. It's the earliest, they say, in the hurricane season, but in terms of its strength, it's going to go down in history as one of the strongest of the hurricanes, and it looks as though it has done a lot of damage in Grenada of all places, especially this place. Am I calling it right? Where are my Grenadian brothers and sisters? Is it called Carriacou? The CARICOM Secretary General just yesterday said she was very, very concerned. Now, this is a real test for CARICOM, a real test for CARICOM, and some of what we're learning seems a little bit odd about the response to this, and we'll get to that a little bit. But here is Dr. Carla Bennett, CARICOM Secretary General, saying she has a lot of concern about the damage. But I think CARICOM has some systems in place that are going to look at this. Some systems are triggered automatically that are going to be involved here, and folks are going to get some relief. But how widespread is the damage in the Caribbean? I saw some reporting coming out of Trinidad. I saw some reporting coming out of St. Kitts, not St. Kitts, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, of damage there. At least 2 persons killed in Trinidad. Sadly, thanks to Hurricane Beryl. So again, Secretary General of the CARICOM, very, very concerned here. And as I said, Grenada has felt the brunt of this in an area called Carriacou. Forgive me for my pronunciation is a bit off. But I saw Dickon Mitchell, the Prime Minister there in Grenada, young, able Prime Minister in Grenada there, says they're bringing some relief. Relief has already been mobilized because, again, they have some rigorous system being islands prone to hurricane. Some relief is already being employed there in Carriacou, and we saw some of that damage. Folks, I think this is in one of the Bay areas. We saw a whole ship being swallowed by the sea. Take a look at this.
Come on, man, boy.
Hey, golf put shirt on. Yo, take on on.
Sterling all that, the bullet up there. Sterling all that, please. Come on, man, boy.
Hey, golf put shirt on. Yo, take on on.
Sterling all that, the bullet up there. Sterling all that, please.
Yep, so that was an entire ship, as you saw there, being swallowed by the ocean there. And that, I think, is Grenada. And again, Dickon Mitchell, the Prime Minister in Grenada, says that relief is coming to the people of Carriacou. Hope I'm pronouncing that name right again. Relief is coming. So that's what's happening there. And just to give you a sense of the magnitude of this Hurricane Beryl in the region, it has also hit the St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you know, the Prime Minister there, Ralph Gonzalez, is telling the citizenry there this morning that, look, despite we have a lot of damage here, he's asking the criminal elements to give the people a break because so much is exposed. Walls are ripped out of supermarket, roofs are missing from buildings. And you know, you got some unscrupulous people who could use this time to pounce on you if you're vulnerable. And so here's the Prime Minister, Ralph Gonzalez, telling people, give us a break. Talking about criminal activities. You know, they have the potential of seeing a spike here now that so much again is exposed there. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to the people of the Caribbean who were affected by Hurricane Beryl. Still bearing down in a lot of places. And we're watching that. So we know it's made landfall in Grenada, Trinidad, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A lot happening. And our own government telling us that they are mobilizing support. I know there was a meeting of the private sector just yesterday on this front, trying to pull the pieces together and provide some support for our sister countries here in the region. We got to do that. Or else what's the use of CARICOM? We're wasting time. If you got your brothers and sisters across the pond, you're in some kind of a crisis as they clearly are now, and we can't help them. So we're galvanizing some support. But it's a little strange because here is the government telling us that we'll have some security support for places like Grenada, but quite strangely, I didn't see that kind of offer for Haiti. It's interesting. It's really interesting when you consider all things. Right? Strawberry is and Jeanette, Wharton, and all the folks, Sway and Antonio joining us on Instagram, and all our folks joining us on our other social media channels, on Facebook, on YouTube. Debbie Collins, Amit Seatel, Claire. I see Helen is with us this morning. Unita, Ingrid Ambrose. Good morning to all of you. Haiti was in dire straits. We had to bring folks still from Kenya. Am I mistaken? We had to bring folks out of Kenya, and here President Irfan Ali says we're going to lend security support to Grenada. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. And you can follow this up. It's just some of the headlines we're kind of tapping through here for your benefit. Some of the important things that are happening as we begin the day today, the second day of July, believe it or not, already, folks, some of you are in summer mode. Some of you making plans, some of you on your way to where you need to be for summer vacation and all of that. This is what's happening. Pray for the Caribbean, and especially these key of islands that are going to be terribly affected in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. That being said, folks, we come closer to home, and on that very same tenor of Hurricane Beryl, saw over the weekend a meeting of the Civil Defense Commission and some of the phone companies we have locally, GT&T, GTCell. The Civil Defense Commission, CDC, they're making a push for early warning systems. You know, being able to communicate to the public at a moment's notice, if needs be, and how these telecommunications company can play a role. We saw that meeting happening over the weekend. And this is very, very important. Folks, everything ain't gonna be about politics, you know. We don't have to fight down each other on every single thing. These are systems that must be in place if you call yourself a modern, civilized country. You got a major fire in an area, you can send, rapid text messages to members in that specific community, in that catchment. You know, we got a big storm. We had a big, dust storm, Sahara sand and all of that. Right now we got, not COVID, dengue, a huge spike in dengue cases. So these systems are very, very important, and it's admirable to see the Civil Defense Commission going in this direction to develop an early warning systems alert or an alert system that gets information out to the population. We had some massive floods in 2023. Kokwani, Linden, just a couple of weeks ago. And these issues can sometimes turn on a dime, life and death. And as we're in Linden, we heard the mayor of Linden complaining quite recently in a press conference of some of the challenges that they have at their end, saying that, the heavy rains and irresponsible residents have caused unheard of flooding in Linden. Clogged drains and so on. In some instances, I heard them say, government slow to respond to the needs of the people of Linden. These are all challenges that we confront on a daily basis in this country. And folks, whichever part of the divide, political divide in this country we find ourselves on, Helen Collin, Isabella, Janet Etua, Rastaman, Vashti Magnot, Dolly Anderson, whichever part of the divide we find ourselves on politically, we have to find a way forward on all of these issues. As we're on civil defense and natural disasters and all that, here is some of what the mayor of Linden, the town council of Linden, here's some of what Mayor Sharma Solomon said recently.
The rains have brought untold hardship to Linden and to Region 10. On Wednesday, Linden Mayor Sharma Solomon addressed the situation with the media.
From the 29th to date of what this would have caused the town of Linden, in the West Watuka area, you have almost $9 million worth of damages to just 5 farmlands, and we are still to ascertain from 9 more persons, which we are estimating will take us to about $20 million. We have drainage issues in the Karakara area, which takes us to about $30 million in damages to households. In the Nikadak community, we have another $35 million of damages for residents in terms of what they suffered on the 29th.
In the valleys of Linden, damage has been put at $60 million, according to the mayor. He said that requests for intervention were made before Linden Town Week. Linden Town Week was observed more than a month ago.
No intervention was made. And here it is, you have the amount of suffering to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. We are saying you cannot take that same approach to exclude stakeholders as we have this impending weather on us, and to see that we have these floodings day after day and not engage in a wider stakeholder.
The municipality is undertaking to clean the drains in Republic Avenue.
That Linden is not only going to suffer floods, but significant amount of erosion, of where we saw several communities and homes under threat from the issue of erosion. So this is where we've also had the CDC intervened to see what sort of support that they can give to those areas.
Solomon said that the council is pressing for compensation to the affected people.
The council is strongly pushing for that. And I'll say why in the area of Nikadak, because this is coming from residents such as Paul Jones and Orin Garden, who we took a walk about. And they're identifying where the mining company, they are now using the outlet of the community to drain their mine. And that may have resulted in flooding. Those things we want to confirm. They're also showing where the dike was compromised and where water may have escaped those areas that are compromised and enter into the community.
He said that some residents have contributed to the flooding.
Of persons who are building, where we saw today, one of the removal of the obstacles across one of the main drains, and immediately after the removal, you had a free flowing of water coming through.
Locations that weren't known to flood have flooded at this time.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Adam Harris, for putting that together for us. We are always grateful. While that's happening, that's Linden. You got stuff happening in the region with Hurricane Beryl. Thoughts and prayers with all those folks affected. We go up now. This is Bushlot, Region 5. And a massive fire there last evening. A number of buildings destroyed. Yesterday, I spent some time in Babis with my family. We had a family gathering in Babis, got some rest and relaxation on CARICOM Day yesterday. I was talking to one of the residents there in Yeovil, and one of the things he was telling me that needs to be highlighted is the fact that the single fire engine there doesn't go beyond 40 miles an hour. The single fire engine. This is early on in the afternoon. So I was stunned when we saw some of the photographs coming out of Bushlot last evening that a number of buildings were on fire there. And more than that, one of the things attributed to this spread of this fire to these other buildings is a slow response of the Guyana Fire Service. Folks, again, I know a number of people are going to be watching us this morning. Some of you are going to be very supportive of the People's Progressive Party, Civic, some of APNU, AFC, maybe of Alliance for Change, right? But let us confront the truth in this country. Again, to come back to the fact that we are producing billions of barrels of oil, how much ever millions of dollars we make an hour in this country, billions per month, and we got a fire engine that doesn't go beyond 40 miles per hour. We got hydrants in this country that don't work. We saw all of that, and we're going to refer to some of that in video footage on our evening broadcast. People trying to get the hydrants to work. No water is coming out of the hydrants. This is 2024. We're in the future. You remember when you were young, the things you imagined in the year 2000? We're in the future. And we got hydrants and not hydranting. Make sense. Make them make sense. The fire service applies to the hydrant. Nothing will come out. They got to pump water out of the trench. Please and thank you. An hour later, the fire tender can't meet us yet. So 4 buildings leveled in this fire. And we're learning also that it was actually a fatality too. Thankful in the sense that the numbers aren't higher, but we learned that at least one person would have lost their life as a result of this fire here at Bushlot. And the dead man has been identified as one Carl Passon, who was residing at 16B Bushlot Public Road, West Coast, Babis. Reports telling us it was a 2-storied wooden and concrete building. Our thoughts and prayers with his family. Folks, Guyanese at home and abroad, we got a lot of work to do. That is what I really want to underscore. We got a lot of work to do, brothers and sisters. And it comes, and it says we're in the future of doom. Our thoughts and our prayers with all of those folks. If you join our program daily, we say that a lot here because so much that happens in this country. Our thoughts and our prayers with all those folks who were affected by that fire there in Bushlot in one way or the next. Another interesting headline making the rounds today we think you ought to know about. Youths are drivers of positive change and innovation, says Prime Minister Phillips. I just took you back there a little bit to what you imagine as a child, as a teenager growing up, the year 2000. I don't know if you're like me, but I grew up hearing youths are the future. But that future just never seems to come. That future just never seems to come for our young people. Joanna Green, Marilyn Thomas, Andrew Griffith, Leslie Hamilton. Those are folks joining us between YouTube and Facebook. Yvonne Green, Pretty Militia, Naomi Druck, I almost said Naomi Campbell, Ratsima and Marilyn Thomas. And then we got the folks joining us on Twitter, the folks joining us on Instagram this morning. Chantel and trying to call some of these names, Otis and Lee and David and Yanet, Harcourt, and all the other folks joining us on Instagram this morning. These are some of the issues that we're grappling with as we start the day today. Youth start the future, they say. Future never seemed to come. What stood out here in 2022, was it? 2022? Yes, 2023 rather. International Youth Day, August 12th. A big Youth Advisory Council was launched by the president. A good idea in and of itself. Youth Advisory Council. Here you're going to have young people advising you on different matters and doing some projects and advancing the cause of young people. But I remember when this issue came up in the 2024 budget in the National Assembly in March, February of this very year, we quizzed Minister of Governance, Gail Teixeira, on what had happened to this Youth Advisory Council because it seemingly faded away, faded from public view, much like the First Lady. Aria Ali has faded from public view. I haven't seen her in a little bit. I haven't seen her photograph with her husband in a little bit. I haven't seen her, she's usually involved in a lot of charitable work. I haven't seen her on the front line a little bit. What's happening with our First Lady? But that's how the Youth Advisory Council faded away. It faded away like the First Lady. Where is Aria Ali? Where is Aria Ali? What's she been up to? And not only had the Youth Advisory Council faded away, they had a budget of $75 million. $75 million they were granted. And up until February this year, they'd only spent $15 million. Gail Teixeira remarked that they were getting their feet wet, so they didn't do a lot. What has happened to the Youth Advisory Council? These things must not just be tokenism. So when we see the Prime Minister says that youths are drivers of positive change and innovation, if the very Youth Advisory Council that the government instituted in functioning, are we really allowing our young people to be drivers of change, positive change and innovation? Charity begins at home. I thought that Youth Advisory Council, some wonderful young people populating it, were going to hit the ground running and be really a force to reckon with out there. But they seem to have disappeared. Anybody knows what has happened to the Youth Advisory Council? Anybody knows what has happened to First Lady Aria Ali? Seems to have gone MIA for some reason. John Jones, Angie Christenberg, folks, feel free to disagree with us. We welcome that here. You know, if we all like Okro, every day we can have problems. So feel free to have a dissenting opinion. Nigel and Everett, Angie, John Jones, Gail Samuels, good to have all of you here with us. Glasgow, Kenrick, and Troy Winfield, and all the other folks joining us on Instagram. What has happened to that Youth Advisory Council, I think is the proper name of it? Vashti Magnot says hiding. Right? Hiding. So we're watching to see youths are drivers of positive change and innovation. I want that to be true in this country. I want it to be true, but all we see is some very cosmetic things that are done. But look what's happening to our youth. Young man in Region 9, out having some fun with his friends. Quarrel erupts and his drinking buddy, as the reports characterize it, ends his life. Too often we see of late our young people transitioning life. You know, some people say, when is your time, is your time. You know, you got a day, you got a number, you got to meet whenever that time comes. But there's another school of thinking in this area that you're going to have some untimely deaths. What's happening with our young people? Region 9 youth killed by drinking buddy. Life has become too cheap in this country, folks. Life has become much too cheap. We're watching program time, so we're going to head along. Teen driver hospitalized following two-car collision. Be careful out there. As I think about this young man who had such a close call recently, I remember a sister of mine from church lost her son recently, to an accident on the, where is that? Maikoni public road a couple of weeks ago. Folks, slow down. As we say around these parts, slow down and let us arrive alive. Please and thank you. Slow down. Let us arrive alive. GPL informing us there'll be power interruptions between yesterday and today. Power interruptions. Right? So if you have some power loss at your end, some load shedding, some blackouts, we know this was for you. This was for you. What's new? You know what we keep talking about? High income country, fastest growing economy. We still plague with blackouts. Even with the power ship that we're paying handsomely from is which country again? Kazakhstan. Which country the power ship came from? Middle Eastern country. All of that, we still have blackouts. School is in. Start turning Monkey Mountain for a secondary school. We hope this doesn't end up like the K2 secondary school that costed us more than $1 billion and still wasn't completed. We hope so. $1 billion+ of this got a state-of-the-art school, not so much. But that kind of price tag in K2 got to be state-of-the-art. So while we were excited to see the education sector making these strides, we always start nice. We always start strong. It's the middle and the finish for us, though. It's the middle and the finish for us. Some of the things happening. As we wrap up, folks, we're being convinced, an attempt to convince us that there has been an increase in disposable income by $200 billion. Are you feeling that at your end? Or are you feeling the blackouts? If you joined our program yesterday morning, we spent some time talking about the cost of living crisis we have. High prices in the supermarkets, in the markets. You feeling this $200 billion by your end? In addition to that, public sector employees spending grew by $89.5 billion between 2020 and 2024. Are you feeling the effects of that? When you get your pay at the end of the month, after those bills, if you can pay all the bills, are you feeling that, folks? Are you feeling that? We'll keep saying at this end, every month you should hear cha-ching in your bank account. Big smile on your face because you know thing there. In addition to the salary, you get a direct cash transfer from the oil sector. Because what is out there belongs to all of us. Folks, don't let us fool ourselves. Reggie and Miss Sweeting, Troy Winfield and Glasgow, Lee and Otis, Zephanias, is it that? Forgive me if I'm pronouncing the names wrong on Instagram. The folks joining us on the other social media networks, Wendy Caesar joining us on Facebook, Eula Rubens, Neon Harding, Cheryl Sampson, Paulette Greaves, Leslie Hamilton joining us on YouTube, Coral Providence, Vashti Magnot. We're in a country that is producing lots of oil, and as a result of that, we're getting lots of money. But are we feeling the effects of that, good people? Those are the first 15, 16, 17, 18 things we think you ought to consider as we begin the day today, folks. As we begin the day today. It's been a privilege being here of you. Leslin says $300 a pound of plantain. Melanie Drayton, good morning to you. Sherlyn Juice Tendry, Shamley Edgill, and all the other folks who are joining us. Linda Baker, good to have you, Linda. Sharmila, good to have you there too. Sherlyn Juice Tendry. Dexter Solomon, great to see you. Isabella Butters, we see you guys as well. Thanks for joining us. Whether you joined us at this end, you joined us on YouTube, you joined us on Facebook, Instagram, you joined us on Twitter. Good morning to all our Twitter folks. If you joined us on the tube, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. We're going to see you right back here, good folks, on our next broadcast. That's our time this morning, good folks, and that's our program. It's been a privilege being here with each and every one of you. Stay safe. Stay safe, good folks. We are super delighted to have had all of you this morning. Please and thank you. Stay safe.